What's up guys, Andrew Briscoe here with Keller Williams Elite, and this week I'm going to be sharing some tips with you guys on how to navigate this crazy seller's market we're in as a home buyer. So guys, as you probably know, houses are basically flying off the shelves right now, faster than toilet paper was back in 2020. And it is incredibly hard as a buyer to find a home and get an offer accepted in this market. Here's a few tips to help you navigate your home buying process easier and hopefully give you a better shot at getting your offers accepted. Before I go into specific things that you can add to your offer to kind of spice it up and make it look a little bit more appealing to sellers, I want to talk a little bit about the process before you actually submit your offer. Now, I know that I've talked a lot about how important it is to choose a good agent. And of course, that's going to be the number one thing I'm saying again is make sure you have an agent that truly understands the neighborhoods and areas you're looking in. Your agent really should be sitting you down and preparing you for what's going on in the areas you're looking in, what to expect once you start submitting offers, looking at houses. All of these things should be talked about before you start going and opening doors and looking at properties. Now, the next thing is going to be making sure that your finances are really in order. This is super important even in not as competitive as a market, but especially now you really need to make sure you know how much home you can afford so that when you are ready to submit offers, you know exactly what you can afford and how to make that offer competitive. Now, the reason for this is because if you're looking at a $200,000 home and that's the max you're pre-approved for, most of those properties are going to be going at least at list price or above, and it just doesn't give you the opportunity to write a competitive offer if you can't go over the asking price. So that's why you really should be building in a percentage for how much over the asking price most properties in the area you're looking in are going, and build that into your price range that you're looking in compared to what your maximum amount you're willing to spend is. And the last thing is just be ready to move quick. Most houses are selling in 1 to 2 days, and it's super important to make sure that you know what boxes you need to check off for a house to be a fit for you, so that way as soon as you look at it, you can check those boxes and know if you are or are not going to write an offer on it. Now, those are some good tips and advice for preparing to start looking at homes, from picking out an agent, getting your finances in order, and just knowing what you want in a house. Now, I'm going to move into giving you guys some tips about how to actually make your offers more appealing when you start submitting offers on properties. The first thing is simply just making your offer what we call clean. Now, this doesn't just mean not asking for things from the seller. This actually means down to how your agent is submitting the offer and how organized and concise it is. This is something that really actually does make a difference. The worst thing as a listing agent is getting 15, 20 offers on a home and having to sift through disorganized documents that are not in the right order, not together, and even sometimes just not fully filled out properly. The easiest way to make your offer more appealing to an agent and a seller is just make sure your agent is organized, filling out all the documents properly, and you have all your I's dotted and your T's crossed. Now, the second thing is something called an escalation clause. This is more regular and popular in some areas or states than it is in others. I'm in Oklahoma, and it's not something we normally see here. Now, what an escalation clause does is, let's say you offer $180,000 for a property. You can add in the escalation clause that says that you will pay a certain amount over whatever the highest offer the seller gets is. So what this would look like is you could submit a $180,000 offer with an escalation clause that says you'll pay $1,500 higher than the highest offer the seller gets, up to a certain amount. You want to make sure you do put a cap on this, because the seller could get an offer for $15,000, $20,000, $50,000 over the asking price, and if you don't put a cap on your escalation clause, you would be contractually obligated to pay that amount. The third thing you can do to spice up your offers and make them more appealing to a seller is an appraisal gap. Now, this has become a lot more popular recently because one of the main issues we're having on properties is that appraisals are coming in low because the home prices are raising so quickly. Now, what an appraisal gap is that it means if you are using a mortgage to fund the purchase of a home, that is going to be conditional upon an appraisal at the purchase price. So an appraisal gap means that if the appraisal comes in lower than what your purchase price is, you will make up that difference with cash at closing. Now, another thing you can do to make your offers look more appealing to a seller is offering to pay their closing costs. Typically, in a real estate transaction, the seller pays certain closing costs and the buyer pays certain closing costs. So a great way to make your offer look better for a seller is to offer to pay their closing costs so they make more money on the sale of their home without increasing the purchase price. And lastly, and this one is extremely important, is whatever you do to make your offer look better, please do not waive your inspection period. Now, of course, there are some things that are worth it to give up in the real estate transaction as a buyer, but this is definitely not one of them. The last thing you would want to do is waive your inspection period on a property. You go home to your new home and you realize that there's a $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 repair that needs to be done to the house, and you've signed on it and you're stuck with it. So anyway, guys, I hope that this was helpful to you in giving you some tips about the home buying process and just how to compete in this crazy market that we're in right now. As always, if you have any other questions about buying, selling, or investing in real estate, shoot me a DM or reach out. I would love to help you.